just a barn burner.
Barn burner, the magic word that we love, meaning it goes all the way through. Almost every single round is played, and given we've had 2 games go to overtime tonight, it feels like we would be cheated if this one didn't go the distance as well. But let's get into our bans. We are, of course, on Clubhouse, so we're expecting a bit of Hard Breach ban coming out, maybe a Thatcher for feeling a little bit cheeky and sticking a Kai ban behind it. But to kick things off, it's going to be ye old faithful ace. It's going to be Thermite.
Thermite going by the wayside now. Will BDS double down and take a second Hard Breach out, or will it be that Thatcher? No, it's going to be the Thatcher, so that is pretty reasonably standard so far. Thermite wouldn't necessarily be too common here on Clubhouse. A Hard Breach would be, but usually Hibana or Maverick, really.
The Valkyrie ban comes out next from BDS, which means surely really here on the side of G2, you're thinking already about saying, well, it's got to be a Kai ban. It's got to come out here. It's really, really painful to leave that open, unless, of course, you're relying a lot on the Maverick, but it's going to be a smoke ban coming out here. There's something a bit ban coming in towards Brede here. Maybe try and make him sweat a little bit. My only real concern here is you probably know he's going to sit on something else wielding an SMG. I'm thinking a mute there might get brought out, but of course, we'll wait for the second half to see how that shapes up, because to begin with, it's going to be G2 starting off on the defense, and of all places to start, it's going to be Gym and Bedroom Ace.
It is going to be Gym and Bedroom now. I'd love to give you some good news, Des, but for G2, it looks a little bit bleak coming in. BDS, they've played Clubhouse twice. They've won it twice. G2 played it twice, won it once, so they're 50-50. But if we have a look at Gym and Bedroom specifically, on the attack, we've got BDS have attacked 4 times onto this site. They've won it 3 times, Des. They've got a 75% win record there. Looking on the side of G2, it's a 50-50 defense. So coming in, the numbers would suggest that BDS could have themselves B2, the new mega super team B2. Can you imagine BDS coming in here? They have got themselves at least an advantage in the numbers on paper, but there's one important thing to remember, Des, and that Siege is not played on paper.
It is absolutely not, mate. It is played inside the server, where it can come down to stats every day of the week. But if you start looking at who can hit headshots, that ultimately turns into the decider of who walks away the victor. We saw that in the last map, realistically, looking between Virtus Pro and Kavana. And although it played out to VP having yet another overtime loss, often it would come down to those really scrappy gunfights. Who was hitting the heads? And often it was Pasha, but clearly not quite often enough to collect the win for them. But we'll see how it shapes up here, whether or not it's Shaiko or Citizen that go big, or if there is yet an unsung hero waiting to make himself known here on Clubhouse.
30 seconds in then, we've got Uno just feeding information feverishly back into his team there from the heartbeat scanner, but the majority of the BDS push is going to focus, as you would expect, over towards CCTV and Cash for the time being. So what you're likely to see from BDS on the attack here is trying to get control initially of CCTV, and the reason that they want to do that is so that Shaiko and other players can play exactly where he is now, along these windows. It's dangerous if you don't clear out CCTV. Now, Kanto, he's going to find one onto the Zafira of Alems to begin with, and that is great early round performance that we haven't seen too regularly out of Kanto so far this stage, Des.
In fact, just last week, oh my word, Uno jumps out as well and goes for a firefight, but throws a C4 instead of shooting bullets. And Shaiko's like, what the bloody hell is going on? Doesn't quite shoot back, and Uno somehow escapes unscathed. But the amount of information that he has been feeding back and forth on Shaiko's position here means that G2 know everything. They see all, they know all. Now the question is, can they shoot all? That is the one that always kind of sits as the, has to be done if you're going to be able to play off the back of that information. Now they're just trying to remove this player who's sad. It's Kanto way back inside of red. He's got grenades singing all around him. The ADS is going down all around him, and Shaiko finding Kayak elsewhere brings it to 4 versus 4 with 1 minute and 15 left to play. You touched on Kanto and about his minimal impact. Absolutely has not woke up, but what a time to return this game would be.
I am already on the edge of my seat, Des. I am ready for this one. Pumped. It is kicked off. It is like a box of fireworks all being lit at once right now. And Rafal steps in and gets that kill eventually onto Kanto, but it's taken them an awful lot of time to get him cleared off the red stairs. We still have Virtue inside of Cash, Des. There's 45 seconds left to go, and BDS haven't even cleared out the entire east side yet. Renshiro looks to pushing in. Citizen gets his first, and it's directly onto onto Shaiko. Who else? He doubles down with one onto Renshiro. This could be the Citizen Show in round one as he comes in with a big double exactly when G2 need it. 25 seconds left to go, and this is all down to Brede and Rafal. Rafal looking to push himself up the main stairs. He has to just go route one here. The default camera will see him. Out come the nades. Unlikely to be successful. Takes the little bounce off the wall, but G2, they're just turtling. They're dipping back. They're willing to just wait for the gunfights to come to them, but it's the bullets that come to Virtue with a headshot. Uno, however, manages to get a few shots, but doesn't do the damage he needs. This one's getting turned around as Brede is getting the diffuser down on the floor, and it's all down to Uno with the UMP. He's looking, he's searching, he finds, but he can't kill. He gets the first. Can he get the second? This would be a 1v2 clutch for Uno. He steps around, he gets the kill, Des! He gets Rafal! He just needs to disable the diffuser. He's got all the time in the world, and Uno with a huge clutch again. We saw the ace clutch against Empire, and now it's 1v2 against BDS, and G2 locked down what feels like an epic first round of what is sure to be a huge game.
What is with Uno the last couple of weeks? Last week it was the Maestro Ace on Consulate inside of Antichamber, the rotate up yellow, and the double slaughter on top floor to take a round for the team. Here he's only gone on an it's like an Uno reverse card that he's played here, Ace. He's done back onto BDS what they just dealt to G2. It looked like G2 had the advantage. You called it out. There are 45 seconds left and they're still clearing CC. Somehow they bring it down to the 2 versus 1. They win the 1 versus 1 on site against Citizen, who had hit some wicked shots, got himself 2 kills in the round, only for Uno, with the worst gun in the game, to turn around and win the 1 versus 2. This man is having one hell of a redemption arc. We started speaking about Kanto, but let's not forget about the man, I think, of the latter half of this season, which has been Uno so far. What a glow up.
He's been playing fantastically, and he just steps up. The thing with Uno right now is he can be quiet for a little while. He'll go a couple of rounds with just sort of informational plays, not getting involved in the action too much, and then he just steps up when his team needs him. We've got a replay here coming in, and I mean, what an absolute beauty. It's this kill that wins it for him there. Behind the gym equipment, just manages to find the headshot, cross onto Brede. And it's just beautiful. There's no other word for it. Uno, great round for him, round 1. That's G2 on the board. And what I love about that, Des, you know I love my stats, I love my numbers, and I've come in there and I've dropped some well thought out numbers, and I love that G2 have just torn those sheets up and said, forget about it, Ace. There is nothing going by the book today.
Time to retire the spreadsheets probably is what they'll be screaming at you once this one's out, based of course on how things progress. And I kind of think if Rafal wasn't down to about 5 HP, almost to put a dampener on it for a second, if Rafal wasn't 5 HP, it wasn't a headshot that came out of Uno. He just kind of tickled his body. He was on 5 HP. Of course it's going to kill him. He managed to deal some damage back to Uno, and maybe if he'd have soaked or sponged another bullet, he could have got the kill. It's, again, the small things in Siege that really make the difference. And that, to me, was, again, what led to that awkward 1v1 at the end where Rafal stepped around the corner reloading, not expecting Uno to push so aggressively. Plays out absolutely beautifully, and all we can pray for is 15 rounds exactly like that. Rafal going hyper-aggressive onto Kanto, who's, I suppose, woes kind of continue. Sure, got the entry in the last round, did waste a bit of time at the top of red stairs, but here, going to be able to have absolutely zero impact on the Vigil.
Shut down very quickly this time, and we see G2 pretty quickly just scarpering and getting themselves back down to site, having lost Kanto. 3 out of 4 will be down there. Virtue dips down the blue stairs. He's going to be moving through to the spot behind the generator there, and that is it now. G2, they are in for the duration. 1 minute 30 left to go, so BDS, they've got plenty of time. They've got all the utility they need. Brede on the Hibana, Rafal on the Maverick. They can get the hatches open. They can apply pressure from multiple angles, which is what we know is such a key when assaulting onto Church and Arsenal. And the vertical pressure is about to start raining in very, very soon. They need to get Renshiro in there with the book to start opening things up.
I like how we kind of saw this SSG-esque roam coming along here, but it was never really a full committal by G2. As soon as they lost Kanto on main stairs, they were like, right, it's time to back away, forget about it now. And rather than deploying all their mute jammers and the Mozzie pests on the top floor, they've actually retained most of them for the downstairs. I believe the church wall is mute jammed up at this time as well. Ooh, if that was to the other direction, that could have been a potential kill or two coming out, but it doesn't matter because the second one's going to connect. Down goes Renshiro, the buck being removed. Now you're going to have to rely on the breaching rounds from the Ash to start getting things open. But of course, it's Shaiko. He's not going to hang around playing vertical angles. He wants to get himself in a power position. We saw one hell of a 4K from him in FPL a few weeks ago from this exact position. Let's see if he can recreate it again.
The problem for G2 here is that Kayak and Virtue have taken an inordinate amount of damage, and Uno joins them on that score as well. There's less than 100 HP between the three of them. Elem starts things off. Shaiko just walks into sight and finds a kill onto Uno. It's bookending one that Virtue finds, but Breeder now has the freedom to start getting that diffuser down. A couple of seconds and it will be activated. Kayak caught out in the corridor. Rafal with the kill, and that leaves us with the diffuser active on the ground. It's easy for Shaiko to mop Virtue up like a spilt drink, Des, and that is BDS leveling things up. And what bigger signal did we need to show us that we are in for a war?
Oh, Shaiko's basically hit replay on his FPL play where he got that 4K a couple of weeks back there, where he opens up the wall to the left with the Ash, runs through, challenges the player on box 3, assumes the box 3 position and picks up kills basically for free from there, with Rafal playing just behind him in the main stairs spot to make sure no one could come up his backside from pipes. It was textbook Shaiko there, and G2 still couldn't respond to it. Really well played, brings us up to 1 apiece, and after how round 1 went, after seeing that display of class out of Shaiko in round 2, again, you're really seeing how this game could go the distance.
Certainly are. We're going to be heading down to Church and Arsenal once again. So we have to look at this comparatively to round 2 that G2 have just lost. They're going to rinse and repeat. They're going to try to close out this site this time. Last time, Orion Kanto lost his life very, very early. So they'd applied men to the top floor for the SSG roam. They were trying to just waste time, but within the first minute, it was time for them to dip back to site. They're definitely going to want something more this time, and especially with Kanto playing on the vigil there, you've got to be careful with it because he only has his scanner, which active at the minute. You can see the white lines there at the edges. It just hides him from drones. So any attacker on the drone, when that scanner is active, they won't be able to see the vigil. They get the same white lines that show that he's within a radius of their drone, but still, you know that you're going in and face checking areas. But the problem with that gadget is, and I say problem lightly, is that it doesn't really support the team. It's not like Jaeger, who puts ADSs in sight that burns throwable utility. Kanto has to use that ability to get kills, to waste time, to clear out drones. That's really what his function has to be here, because otherwise all he's bringing to the team is doing a couple of reinforcements, getting a couple of hatches and moving on, and anybody can do that now that we've got a shared reinforcement pool. So Kanto needs to have more of an impact here.
I really like this setup now that I've seen it in a bit more detail in this round, where you've got Virtue and Kanto holding inside a cache. And again, rather than playing this fully spread SSG roam on the top floor, their whole goal is to protect stock. Stop BDS getting control of blue, stop them winging nades down into blue to try and clear the player out. Just keep on challenging there. And here's Uno being willing to challenge Renshiro on that buck again quite early on. He started a couple of times quite early in the rounds here, removing that only real hard breach option they've got. Then you start looking towards things like the breaching rounds, like the impacts from the Zofia to start making a difference. But again, for G2, I like how it's on a full commit. They're wasting time. They're trying to slow BDS down and then trying to get themselves back on site when they're ready. But as Medix is highlighting, I think we need to keep a very close eye on Rafal here.
It's an interesting question. Do G2 know he's there? Absolutely, they do not. Rafal is very unlucky. He puts damage onto Virtue. Uno, Citizen is ticking him off his list. And on a different day, Desi comes away with a triple there, but he can't even find one today. And they are now aware of his presence. I was literally going to come into this segment saying the book is gone. That's great for G2. That's where they took a lot of their damage from last time, was Renshiro on the vertical, able to chip away at Virtue and Kayak. And instead, this time, even with that book gone, Rafal is able to do the exact same job. Alems, he finds the last couple of HP out of the Jaeger of Citizen, so that levels things up 4-4. And right now, BDS have got a good HP advantage as well, because look at Virtue and Uno. But Kanto, better this round, able to get himself a headshot onto Alems. Kayak doubles down with a kill onto Rafal using the shotgun. BDS, they just need to slow down here. They've got Shaiko downstairs. They've got a man up above. They have to just back off, take a little bit of stock, and try and find a few kills.
I always look back at this and I imagine Rafał will as well and be kicking himself that he couldn't secure that 3K as they all came back, and it was so beautifully set up. They said, right, last round, we know what they did. They all roamed off site for a short while and then pulled back. They came down through blue. Let's stick a guy inside of dirt. We know that they don't play there, and as soon as we call that they're coming down through blue, you swing, you collect kills, we win the round. And he got such a big spray down. It's one of those really unfortunate moments that you could say if that was Shaiko, that would have been 3 kills to BDS and the round being won. But instead, what we've got here is 3 low health members for the side of G2, Kanto at 75, whatever, being able to hold down and win out of 1 versus 3. Again, so many rounds kind of spin on the dime of an individual play or a mess up. And that one there, I think, was from Rafał whiffing what should have been 3 easy kills.
We've all been there, Des. Rafał was basically, he was like a child who was locked in a toy shop, a sweet shop after hours, and he just didn't know where to start. He just went in there grabbing and just couldn't get a hold of anything because there was 3 in front of him. Who do I take first? Who do I aim for? And he was unfortunate not to hit a single headshot in there. But G2, they were able to compose themselves after taking a huge amount of damage through what must have been a surprise, because let's remember as well, he's picked it up again here. Rafał was on the Maverick there, and that means he got into dirt tunnel silently. There was no big explosion of a hard breach going off, and that's something G2 need to think about should they play Church and Arsenal again, which if they get a couple of successful defences here, it will probably be their final sight. If they lose one of the next 2 rounds, maybe they don't go back down to the basement, but it's something they have to pick up on, Des. They cannot allow a Maverick to just walk into dirt for free like that.
Normally it's a big kicker for yourself, or at least requires some kind of hard breach to get in. I didn't see actually if he'd used any of the blowtorch to get through, or if even it was reinforced in the first place, because they didn't reinforce anything looking out towards CC or anything out towards Jacuzzi on the roam upstairs. They said, look, it stays soft. We need those reinforcements elsewhere. So I would assume, as well as the hatches, it was also going out in towards dirt. And as a replay of this potential 3K stacking up, look at it all. That is there. It's like flies drawn to a ultraviolet lantern. They just can't collect anything. They're too busy ducking, dodging, diving. It's like the Matrix all over again. And Rafał's going to be sitting there in frustration again, knowing that he couldn't close that out.
Honestly, Rafał just didn't know who to go for first there. You could almost see it in his crosshair. He's like, what? Who do I shoot at? There's too many of them. And it was just, on a different day, he walks away with the 3K and BDS win the round. There's no 2 ways about it. G2 have got away with one there. Coming down into sight and being completely unaware of the potential of dirt there could have cost them dearly. But they managed to turn it around. We head into round 4. We're going to be heading back to CCTV and Cash. That's the first time that we've seen it today. Gym and Bedroom was the top floor site that we have seen back in round 1. So G2, they will be looking to lock this down in a similar fashion. Rafał gets to work early with that Maverick on the East Breach, and I'm sort of glad to see G2 here. I've been questioning it for the last few weeks. I slow down because this could be dangerous. We've got a man on the opposite side here, Uno, taking damage. That's exactly what I was concerned about. As Renshiro comes in with the skeleton key, I thought Uno could well be collateral damage here as he opens up that soft wall, but he does dip away and doesn't take much damage at all. If anything, just a tickle in about 5 HP will be gone. But G2 not really defending the east wall too heavily, Des, and this is something we've been talking about for a little while. It almost doesn't seem to be worth the utility or the effort anymore, because even with a Bandit actively tricking on there or a Kaid playing against it, it tends to just get opened within the first 40 to 50 seconds anyway. So G2, they've decided to let that one go, accept it's going to get opened, and they are playing for that eventuality.
It is always the case, and we see it so often these days, is the teams will bring along, say, a Thermite and also an Ace, stick one on either side of the wall, even when it's electrified, accompanied, of course, by EMPs, and there is just no way the Bandit Tricker can deal with it in time. They've had the Hibana open up Garage, they've had the Maverick do his work, opening the wall on the breach, and like you say, you aren't going to keep it closed. What a shot from Renshiro, by the way, after a rough couple of rounds so far, onto Uno, who has been all around Clubhouse so far, not just this round, but in every single round, and here comes from the sky. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's Kanto hitting the deck after he found a single kill. It's a 1-for-1 trade. Kayak down on the deck himself, and a 1 versus 3 now for Virtue to do it all against BDS. And something just tells me that's probably not going to happen, Ace.
He needs to find himself one here, and he does. That's a great start, but shut down by Shaiko at the top of the red stairs. Rafal was just unfortunate collateral there, as Shaiko knew exactly where the man was, I think. Yeah, he's ADSing. He's aware, picks up the Wamai there, and closes out the round. Des, this game could not have started better. We've got BDS leveling things up once again. This is back and forth. Every single round is a war. These players are going to be exhausted at the end of this.
It's been G2, BDS, G2, BDS, and every time, I say every time, it's only happened once so far. Whenever we see G2 repeat a site, when they repeated basement, it went their way the second time round. Admittedly, probably shouldn't have, again, with Rafal's incredible position inside of dirt. But I'm hoping here we see that trend continue, where on CC first round, BDS have won it. The second time round, G2 course correct a little bit. It evens us out more towards G2 being at 3-2, only for BDS to take round number 6, I imagine, once we return back to basement or head towards gym and bedroom.
Still no denial for the East breach. So what do G2 need to do differently? That is the question. If you're not going to deny that East wall, if you're just going to accept that it gets opened and you're going to suffer the pressure from the half roof there, then what's the answer to that? Well, G2, they need to look at the other avenues of attack in that case. So Garage particularly, we saw a lot of pressure into Garage there from BDS, and it was left to Kanto to try and make a hero play as he just launched himself over the top rope with a ginormous elbow drop there. But unfortunately, he only caught one man and found himself up against the triple and was shut down. But they need to keep hold of Garage. BDS focused on that last time. They also need to be very careful of the gym and bedroom side of the map as well. If they're going to allow East Breach open at the beginning of the round, which they are doing, then they need to make sure that that's the only avenue of attack, because you can absorb that pressure. That's fine if you know it's coming from that one location. When you add in the garage, when you add in the construction side, that's when you start spinning on your heel, and that's when they'll get caught out.
Oh, we've done so much talking about this over time, about the removal of the kind of soft plasterboard on most walls just to leave yourself exposed against something like this raw metal wall, which is exactly what Rafal has gone for here. Just ensures that you aren't missing it by catching out onto the plasterboard and, ignoring parts of metal along the way, because there is nothing more painful as a Maverick than missing a small slither of wall that you then have to expose yourself to, to go and get open back up again later on. Lem is holding nice and close. They're ready to contest this, and of course, it also means this will be opened up straight away after, without needing an Ash or a Zofia to blow it up from range, for example. There it is. The wall falls away. We've seen this one a million times, Ace, but now they have this CC breach opened up. They've got to turn their attention towards garage or towards construction.
It's just nice efficiency is what it is. As the buck is passing, clear it out, and then you can open it at your leisure. Uno looking to pressure onto the construction window now. Citizen is the person that's interesting me at the minute. He's holding down this gym and bedroom side. Shut down. What a shot on the reverse angle from Renshiro. That one is a good night without a question. Unbelievable plays, but Kanto once again stepping up when G2 need a bit of energy, when they just need pepping up. He manages to find the Ash of Shaiko, leaving us 4 versus 4. We're coming down to the final minute, and BDS are certainly not established well enough just yet. They've got themselves the construction side of the map. That's great, but they haven't got the wall opened up, so they are still limited to the single door on that side. Breeder, he's going to start working on that hard breach now, but Kanto finds another onto LM. The garage can be a real power position for defenders, and this can be as well, as Kayak finds himself one from underneath, putting the Alder to work on Rafal and then dips away. He's not going to wait to be challenged. He's just playing his life, but this is the position I was talking about. Whilst Kanto is established on that catwalk, it will be difficult to get a diffuser down.
They've got the kind of double power positions here in a way where they have the one playing just inside of the window, also able to challenge on the breach if needed, and the one playing inside a garage. I'm always worried about how exposed you might be. I was going to say the angle that Uno's in right here, how exposed you might be to the breach, but the answer apparently is not a lot when you're only in a 2 versus 4 situation. Brede steps in to find one, but Kayak with the Alder trades back once again. What a crazy round. It started out with Shaiko and Citizen both being banished to the Shadow Realm super early on. Those reverse angle shots that you're on about, like, good night. One shot to the head, both removed from the field, and then it kind of descended into a little bit of chaos, but G2 with some clever setups. Uno getting himself into a great power position. This one feels like it's going all the way, Ace. We keep on saying it, but so far it has been G2, BDS, G2, BDS, now G2 again. something tells me that with the way trends are going, this is going to be a BDS round.
Well, we're going to be going to gym and bedroom. It could be a smart move from G2. They won this in the opening round, if we remember. But as I said, coming into it, I don't want to go back to them stats too much, but G2 so far this stage are 50-50 when defending gym and bedroom. And if you look at it like that, they've already had their win. So this could be a BDS round to level us up 3-3 at the half. But there are 3 minutes that are between us and deciding that. And Citizen and Shaiko, a little bit quiet so far, Des, on both sides. We've got 5 kills for Shaiko, hardly too quiet, but a few of those came in a single round. Citizen just on the 2 at the minute. They just don't seem to have maybe had that huge impact that we might expect yet.
Well, I'd say it's hard when Kanto and Uno have been doing all the work for the side of G2. Given we're 5 rounds in, averaging over 1 kill per round, still a great achievement. And if Shaiko being quiet is 1 kill per round, I'm sure BDS definitely ain't complaining about that kind of outcome. I think here you got Citizen setting up a couple of bullet holes looking out towards the west, and it is, of course, the gym and bedroom setup. At the minute, there's every single man from G2 hovering out towards east, looking to go for this extended hold. We speak about this all the time in case you haven't seen how this site plays out. Generally, what you have is the defenders want to extend out in towards CCTV and cash so that the attackers can't comfortably play on the south balcony. The reason they can't do this, of course, Ace, is because of that window to the west of CC that looks out across the whole southern expanse. Thank you very much, medics. It makes it a real challenge if they can get to the window, and that's exactly what Citizen's going for. And just like that, he has breathed it into existence. You cannot play on the south window if they've got control of CC. Shaiko a little bit too quick there and a little bit too impatient, maybe.
That's just a perfect example, Des, there, that you cannot get onto those windows too soon. It is a mistake from BDS. There's no two ways about it. They have to get, as a minimum, the East Breach open. There's no denial on there to prevent them doing it, really. There's potentially a mute jammer, but they've got a Maverick. It's just a matter of time. That is just a little bit of impatience there, I think. Shaiko got a bit of joy there, if you remember last time. He got the kill onto Kayak, and he wasn't challenged. And I think he just had eyes to do that again. But this time around, G2 having absolutely none of it, and Citizen just showing very good tempered aggression there. He takes a little look. He sees the East Breach is still closed. It's going to take them another 15, 20 seconds to open it with the Maverick, so I'm going to have a look. And he catches Shaiko out. Great play. But Elems, he moves in underneath, clears out that mirror window. Kanto taking a lot of damage on the red stairs from Elems there as well. A little bit traded back, but certainly comes out worse for wear. And Elems, he continues. He's not being pressured or pushed away from those red stairs whatsoever. And that will gain BDS the map control over at least the east side that they need.
I like how G2 have made the sensible call to rotate back here, because normally you'd have Shaiko playing on the vent window looking to cut through construction. So as soon as you leave Cash, you're running into his sight line. Chances are he's gunning you down and you're going to die. But because he died so early on, they had a safe cut back to site. And now we've got G2 in yet another annoying position. They've set themselves up inside of logistics. So here, they want to waste as much time as they can and either force BDS to have to push through the single doorway into site itself, knowing that they probably haven't really got the room or time now to be able to look for a south balcony setup. I say that as Frenshiro does actually drop into place, but look at who's playing downstairs. 2 kills come out from Alem, by the way. That's the way to swing it back in your favor.
Real momentum shifter there as Alem finds a double with the Zofia and gives BDS the man advantage. There is still one G2 player downstairs. Sit down, Citizen. Rafal finding him with a grenade there and closing him out. 2 versus 4 now, and it's starting to look like G2 are on a slippery slope. Time could be their only ally here as Rafal finds a kill onto Virtue. Alem with 3 on the round. That is going to be Alem and Rafal claiming all 5 between them. BDS level things up, and I don't know about you, Des, but I'm starting to dither with excitement here. I've got a tremble on.
Are you sure that's not just your age here, Ace?
Could be. I've not eaten for an hour or 2.
It's a good mix. It's a good mix. We'll find out afterwards exactly what it is. But yeah, it started out exactly as we called it as well. G2 playing it by the book. They just sat there and were quite happily inside of CC, picking up that early kill onto Shaiko. Great. We brought down the Demon King himself. He's off the field. Now we can pull back into logistics. There's 60 seconds to play. We've got 2 men inside here, 2 on site. But BDS do what BDS infuriatingly for every team in the European League, I'm sure, always find a way to do is even when you're down on strategy, down on numbers, they can just rock up and find 2 kills, 3 kills out of seemingly nowhere and swing the round. And in that round, it was all off the back of a Lems. And this is kind of where I think that teams have got a chance to unpick BDS. But it's so hard when they're so good at shooting that when they come for these head-to-head gunfights, they're just better.
That's the difficulty. Like you say, you come into a round like that, and you sort of get that. Normally, you might be like, right, okay, yeah, we've got Shark off the board. This is a good round now, but it's just not like that against BDS because you know you've still got a Lems, Renshiro, or a Foul Breeder. You know, they're just absolutely ram-packed full of names, so it doesn't matter who you take out first. There's no real benefit to it. You've still got the other 4 to go up against. Now, the setup will come in down on Church and Arsenal. That's going to be the primary site this time for BDS, whereas we saw G2 favouring the top floor. So will BDS have a little bit more success on the roam? That is the question. Alem is up there on the top floor. He's applying those mute jammers to try and keep him safe and away from drones for as long as possible. He's actually just going to dip himself away and back downstairs, Des. So it looks like some utility has been applied upstairs to draw the eye of G2, waste a little bit of time, force them to get in there. If the drones can't penetrate because of the mute jammers, guess what? G2 have no choice but to put boots on the ground and go and face check top floor. And doing that wastes 30 seconds, 40 seconds. It's a good play here from BDS. Could be clever.
I think at this point though, even though there's one right above Uno's head, he just doesn't care and he's going to carry on looking towards the site here. I think after a lot of research, G2 will know that BDS are one of the most passive teams on this map. On defense downstairs, you will never see them playing an SSG roam. It's not their vibe at all. You're always going to see Shaiko playing behind Generator. You're more likely than not going to see the Maestro coming through. It's a very passive style of setup that they like to bring out, and there he is playing on the spot I was on about. They always play on site. What they have got here is this real utility heavy setup though. The Echo and the Maestro coming out, and a little bit of an early warning system with the Malusi. They're dug in for a war here, Ace.
They certainly are, and we're still 5 versus 5 coming up to halfway through the round. G2, they've got themselves the map control that they need. They're in charge of the top 2 floors. They just need to start opening up vertical angles, as Kayak is doing now with the hatch to begin with, and need to start pressuring BDS, moving them around inside, maybe taking a little bit of chip damage. We're going to have Citizen and Shaiko coming head-to-head very soon as the Ash of Citizen looks to push into the blue corridor. Now then, the Maverick there just working on that dirt tunnel. Kayak, I'm not sure he's looking to get himself in there, is he? He's got himself a couple of peak holes opened up, but Brede is well aware. BDS, they're not going to fall foul of a trick that they employed themselves.
I'm hoping Kayak got it open here because he was at one canister left as he was starting to think about trying to push it up and open in here. I imagine he has got inside just fine, and now he can start moving his way down. Yes, he did. Good stuff. It's open more for the late round rotate. Very commonly, you'll see Kanto do his work inside of the map and then rotate out to push down there because you absolutely don't want your planter pushing down in dirt, it getting stuck inside dirt as they kind of hunker up. That's why you want to have him inside somewhere like Kitchen, ready to go for a drop. And here they're just trying to force these players back. I think if they can catch out a Lem, for example, this could really open up Arsenal to go for a plant as long as they're conscious of Brede inside of dirt.
Rafal just zooming around on those Echo drones, trying to get any information he can as to where the G2 push is coming from, but this is going to be a last 20-second bloodbath. Brede holds fast inside of the dirt tunnel. Kayak, he's just dumping the explosives into sight at the minute, trying to clear a path, and here comes the challenge. Virtue pushes on. He falls foul of the Outer, but the trade comes in. Kanto and Citizen getting 2 for themselves. 4 versus 3. Kayak starts to get the diffuser down. Des, I don't know which way this is going to go. 2 versus 3. The Echo comes in clutch. The Yokai drone finds the plant and closes it out. Easy as that without BDS having to put themselves at any further risk.
I was really surprised when Kanto walked in from dirt and didn't manage to catch a Lems as he pushed into blue and brought down the player. Not that it would have mattered because the Echo was behind a shield inside of Church, was more than happy to get on that Yokai drone, bring out that finishing blast and stop the plants at the dying second. It's really interesting seeing again all the micro nuances in these rounds really starting to take hold. And here again, it kind of came down to the clock. They left it a little bit too late, and G2 getting punished for, I don't want to say uncharacteristically, but quite a slow setup. Now we step into CC. Look at what they're bringing along. A pick that we've seen them use an awful lot, I got to say, on not just this map, but also on Consulate. I recall them using it before on this map with the Firebolts to burn out the player that was playing on Catwalk. So I'll be keeping a very close eye on if that's going to be their gambit or if they're going to use it somewhere else instead.
A number of options, as you say, for that Capitao. We do very occasionally see it used to support getting the East Breach open, particularly if you've got a bandit there actively tricking. That's not going to be the case as we don't have one on side. Brede and Rafal bringing along the Mute Jammers and Electroclaws as the wall denial this time around. I'll be interested to see whether any of that utility does get applied to the East Breach, because of course I commented on it with G2. They were choosing to just allow that breach to be open. They accepted it as an inevitability, and they just didn't waste the utility on it. This time, BDS have gone for the Mute Jammer, so it's interesting to see just what difference that causes. Both Electroclaws being applied on the catwalk there, they will electrify the walls that are underneath there. So BDS, they are setting up here, Des, for Garage to be their bastion.
I see that, and then I see the Capitao and think, well, there's no Wamai. Can they really deal with this here? Like, I'm concerned that if they get it in the right spot, they can do a lot of damage with that Capitao as long as they catch out the right player, of course. But we'll see, depending on how much they commit to playing inside a garage, as to what the damage will be. I was looking back over some stats. G2 have yet to lose a round on this site when they attack with the Capitao. In fact, they have to lose at all on this map with the Capitao in the lineup. In fact, it has been the exact lineup that you're seeing coming through here a couple of times. They've remained undefeated. So for BDS, they could be the first ones to kind of put a dent in those stats, Ace, and take away what has been so far a very powerful composition.
Absolutely. I mean, you don't even have to go as far as the Capitao necessarily. Just whilst attacking onto CCTV and Cash in stage 1, 4 attacks, 4 wins, 100% record for G2. So BDS, they are going to have to change that streak. That is the top and bottom of it. If we have a quick look at their defensive record here, it's no better than 50-50. So this should be G2's round. They need to come in here and claim this as their strong attack in sight to level things up on the board and to keep this one fighting. The last thing they want to do is slip 5-3 behind now. Kayak, he's going to open up the garage there. That's going to allow some ingress outside. Not have to worry about those Electroclaws now. They'll be able to move in through there and start thinking about clearing out the catwalk where Rafal, he's got himself positioned on the Kaid. Now, where is the Capitao? And just exactly how is Uno going to support that push? He's down there at garage door, and he is ready to use those arrows to try and get them control of the garage catwalk.
My only concern here is they haven't got anyone playing outside these double reinforced garage doors. You need someone there ready to stop him just running over to the window and vaulting straight back in, because as it stands right now, you could peek in, drop a firebolt in, but then he could just leg it back into sight and be perfectly safe. And there he goes. He steps out for the firebolt. Rafal is just better. He gets the kill. He gets to the other side of the window, like we said, and could be safe here. Kayak's got to step in and go for the fight. Kanto's inside and very exposed. Where does he look? Lounge, the window, the rotation. Steps up and gets a shot onto Rafalo. I was sure be able to collect a kill there. Great kill coming out from him, but it's traded back out immediately. This is technically a 3 versus 2 for the side of BDS with only 25 seconds to play.
Kayak does have the opportunity to get Kanto up here. He will take it. That leaves Kanto on 20 health and 1 bullet away from death, but still a gun that can be used. Kayak, he takes some damage and just looks to put some pressure on from the garage C4 window. Kayak, he looks to move in. As you say, Des, there is a C4 denial potential underneath, and that's exactly what we see from Brede. Renshiro gets one. Brede finishes off Kanto, and that is going to be a BDS round. They shut down and break that unbeaten streak for G2 here on CCTV and Cash, and BDS, they've come to play today, Des. They've come to win.
I love the kind of call there coming out of BDS, the awareness of it's a 3 versus 3. We know that Citizen is out on the breach, and we know full well that a player is not going to push solo with the diffuser. There will be a second player behind them on catwalk. What does that mean? Lounge is unprotected. Rotate the mute down red stairs, uncontested, get below with a C4, and close the round out from there. Even if they've missed the kill onto Citizen out on the breach and hadn't managed to kill the second player on catwalk, that round was in the bag because once again, there was no time left. BDS, for a team that normally play hyper passive and always play around sight, somehow are running the clock down for G2 and leaving them with no options left come the end of the round.
Feels like now or never for G2 coming into this one, Des. I can't see the BDS in front of us getting themselves onto match point and allowing that one to be dragged back to overtime. They really are showing up. They're looking electric at this point in time, and that is throughout the entire team. If you remember a few rounds ago, Des, I said that Shaiko had been a little bit quiet, and we had a little bit of back and forth. He was on 5 kills inside, I think, 3 or 4 rounds. He was doing pretty well, but he's only had 1 since then, and as I say, I just felt at that point in time, I hadn't been shouting his name too much. much. He hadn't been too instrumental in a lot of the players, and it's great to see that the rest of BDS are stepping up around him as well. Brede, Rafal and Alem particularly doing fantastic jobs here. So coming into round 9, we will be heading to gym and bedroom, and as I say, G2 really, for me, they need to get themselves back in touch here. They need this 4th round for themselves, and they need to keep themselves in fighting distance. If they don't, if they allow BDS onto match point here, I think that could be then too little too late.
I remember all the way back in EUL Stage 1 how this matchup fared. It was on Clubhouse. We played Cafe in Stage 2, but back in Stage 1, it ended 7-5 to BDS on Clubhouse. And everyone could have swore it was going to be a draw. But Shaiko, in the dying moment, they were attacking gym and bedroom, came in from Cash, despite Virtue being sat behind a mirror, and it was Alem's pick in the mirror that really set me off on this point. He was sat on the mirror looking inside a construction. I don't know what happened. I think he got distracted by someone on logistics hatch. He turned around at the wrong moment. Shaiko charges through construction from Cash, runs into bedroom, slaughters 2 players, and they win the game 7-5 off the back of that. We've already seen explosive endings to games, and I don't see a way in which this ends 7-3, 7-4 BDS. This is either going to all 12 rounds in normal time, or it's going through to overtime. It absolutely has to for that story to continue the way that it has done all year long.
Well, this round is going to be a pivotal factor in that. Citizen gets aggressive and goes in to take the kill onto Alem. I was just about to comment on the Aruni laser gate that was blocking off Red Stairs, and because we've seen the team so far really aggressing down that avenue and trying to push in through the rotation into Cash, and they did a great job, BDS, of preventing that, but Citizen said, I'm not too worried about that. There's a doorway here that I'll use instead. Steps in and gets a great kill onto the mirror. So that leaves us 5 versus 4. G2 have got some good control now as Kanto doubles down, headshot onto Shaiko, and that leaves us 5 versus 3. Rafal keeps himself hidden though, Des. That could be a huge factor and a huge flank as this round goes on. I think Virtue's missed him as well. That's 2 drones now that have failed to pick up on Rafal. He needs to make a move. He needs to time it right. But if he does, it could be absolutely devastating.
Oh, here he goes. He's crawling up the ladder as well. He's in garage. They seen him on the drone. Does he even shoot the drone out? As soon as he shoots that drone, he knows that they know where he is. No one's watching it. They have no idea that he's here. He's in a 5 versus 2 though. It's too late now, buddy. It could have been the most amazing stealth play in the world, but sadly, they know everything there is to know. Citizen in the 1 versus 1 narrowly misses a couple of shots. Rafal connects onto one. Can he get the next? He's laid down inside of construction, mate. You missed him, unfortunately. Uno's on the floor. It was setting up to be so beautiful, but the BDS players that were on site, unfortunately, could not hit their shots. But my God, did he have the patience of a saint there?
There we go. Essential round for G2, I think. They did not want to be getting themselves into a situation of facing match point. So they managed to keep themselves in touch. Only 1 round in it, 4-5. Des, it's everything we wish for. This is coming down on your birthday, and there's a bicycle-shaped present there. And do you know what you want for your birthday? You wanted a bicycle.
It's what you've woken up to, and I'm sure Bruno sat there on his birthday as well and thinking, my God, this is turning into an absolute screamer, because that's all it has been so far. It does sit at a very, very slight 1 round advantage to BDS, but you can see for G2 how all the elements are there for them to bring this one back. That round just then, outside of Rafal, a flawless round coming out. He got a single kill. They showed they could push onto the site. They can collect the kills they need to. If we go and see G2 win this round now, we sit at 5-5. It feels like it's going to be that 3rd overtime in a row for this EUL play day.
Certainly does feel like it's going that way. And honestly, you probably could have predicted it coming in. I looked at the games earlier and I'm looking through thinking, right, who's going to win each of these? And every single one of them was just so difficult to call. I dread to think what's going on with channel points tonight, Des. They're probably all over the place. It must be a nightmare.
You give me a good point, actually. I haven't even thought about that. How many channel points are down on this game for either side? If you take a quick look and see, because the social vote was mainly G2, right? Kind of come to expect it with the way it sets up. With this one, it's so close. 51% BDS, 49% G2.
So close. And no surprise coming in.
There's 50 million points on the line.
The 50 million. That's some serious channel points going down.
Well,
there's 25 million of those going there. We're not going to see those again.
Hang on. You see
I saw it. I saw it.
Rafal coming across on the Chanka. Now, we haven't seen that for a while. And in fact, if you've been particularly attentive tonight and seen on Twitter or even on the Ubisoft website, there has been some designer notes in which Tachanka has got some pretty hefty buffs coming through. But clearly BDS is saying, well, we can see a way in which we can use him in his current form. Let's see what surprise we can do. You're playing around that denial. Part of me starts to think that although Brede isn't the one playing it here, they're missing that denial aspect. Because look at that last round. Brede had no way to stall them out with smokes, for example. No way for Rafal to get on the flank. They just charge forward. I'm kind of hoping here that Rafal has brought this along in an attempt to stall G2 out for a good amount of time.
I think you could be right. I mean, interestingly, BDS not bringing along the Echo this time, Des. If we look back to round 7, when BDS successfully defended here, it was all down to the Yokai drones. G2 got themselves superiority in the round with a man advantage and were able to go in and start putting the diffuser down. But as we said, it was a slow G2 attack, which is uncharacteristic, really. And Kayak, as he was trying to get it down, was just stunned out by that Yokai drone. Nice, easy win for BDS. So they've not decided to do that. And I'm a little bit surprised because as much as G2 may then expect that and may try to deal with it, they never really got anywhere near the Echo last time. He sat at the core of this defense and was completely safe. So G2 didn't really have an answer last time around.
They're in a spot there. They saw that slightly reinforced wall inside of wall and just think, what's going on there? What are they waiting to play behind here? What are they going to pull out? And I hope by this point they know that there's a Chanka on side. Like, sure, his impact hasn't been felt yet, but let's not forget that he has, what, 50 seconds of burn time with those 10 rounds that he's got? He could stall out for a long time, and yes, the area isn't huge. You could arguably get away with running through it. Sure, you'd lose a lot of your life for it, but that option is viable if it's required.
It's just that unknown factor, Des. It's coming into it, and as you say, you know, yes, you can run through it. Yes, he may use it this way, but it's just that unknown. Are you going to get caught out at Dirt Tunnel Door, for example, just getting absolutely lit up with fire? Out comes the Nitro, and what a view we get as Renshiro absolutely deletes Virtue out of the round. We've seen so many explosive kills today, particularly around that kitchen floor. G2 had success with it as well, so Virtue this time getting himself caught out.
I mean, Citizens managed to work his way down to the bottom of main stairs along with a friend in Uno. So the two of them could do what we saw Shaika and Rafal do on the attack, and that start putting some real pressure down on the downstairs. This being said, Citizen changed his tack a little bit here. I think with Virtue getting blown sky high, they need someone up here to be able to contest the verticals. And of course, on the Ash, you have those breaching rounds if required. They're getting the hatch opened up if he wants to open many more if he could. But given that, most of the floor has already been destroyed, to be completely honest.
It is the explosives of BDS doing a little bit of the job for them. Citizen, he's just holding angles now, just trying to get a view. He's trying to clear that shield out that is protecting the Dirt Tunnel Door. That will go. It was a Goyo shield, of course, so we see the flames coming out of that as well. Alem shuts down Kite with a headshot, and this is looking like all BDS right now. Rafal, he starts to light things up. He's just going to flip himself back to that mobile turret that he's got. Uno dashes in and just collects that diffuser. 25 seconds left to go, and G2, they're going to have to do something here. We can see Rafal just pumping out those explosive canisters there, trying to do everything he can to prevent this diffuser going down on the ground, but he can't find the angle. I'll tell you somebody who can, though. It's Rafal. He just switches weapons there. If the explosive canisters won't do it, maybe the turret will. Gets himself a double, and then we see a flawless round closed out for BDS.
I didn't know that. I think the Planter had already got inside of sight there and was going to put the diffuser down. Yes, it stopped anyone else following in, but realistically, no one needed to at that time. They just needed to try and contest the long angle, but Rafal on that double doorway inside of Church steps out, a double kill coming through. The final one collected by Brede. BDS moved themselves up to match point. It has been back and forth, but it's starting to feel like on the defensive half, BDS is saying, we don't need the smoke, guys. You have literally wasted a ban there because it's no problem for us at all.
Rafal's having a great game there, 11-6, and just that play on the Tachanka, he was firing in those explosive canisters and then realised he wasn't getting near to the diffuser going down, so he just flipped it over to the turret. You know what? I'll take option B instead then and shut down Uno. Found himself another, and what a great round from him on the Tachanka, showing that every operator inside this game can have its place, can have its usefulness inside of a round, and Tachanka coming in clutch for BDS there. So 6-4 and match point. There are no more mistakes for G2 now. We're heading up to CCTV and Cash once again. We commented last time that G2 have got a great attacking record here. They weren't able to secure the win back in round 8. It was shut down by BDS, even though we saw Kanto get that opening kill onto Alems. I feel that G2, they need that sort of advantage again. They need to get that opener. They need a man advantage, but this time they need to deal with Garage Catwalk better. They lost too many men trying to clear out that area.
They did, and they haven't even brought the Capital this time around. It's that buck that's coming through for them, I imagine, for the vertical play from below. Normally a spot where you would see a Zofia getting underneath, blowing out the wall, for example, removing that mute jammer. Not sure if they've got different plans for Uno here, or even for Citizen, as he's maybe pushing his way up through basement here, just to make sure everything is completely cleared out. Would expect he's had a drone or two leading him in. But what did we say about BDS earlier on, Ace? They love playing on site. They're not a super massive roaming team. G2, though, playing it by the book, being super cautious about this and making sure that everywhere is clear before they start thinking about their attack.
Oh, you've got to do it. I mean, we saw Rafal with that potential for a big flank, but unfortunately for him, when they were defending Gym and Bedroom, the rest of the team was taken out before he could make his move. But it certainly is something that BDS have got in the locker. You can't ignore it. And G2, they're not going to lose a game that easily. Now, look at this. BDS doubling down inside a garage there. They've got 2 men on the catwalk. They've got the Kaid and they've got the Wamai. Rafal and Alem just looking to lock down that area. It was a focal point for G2 last time around, and it wasted an awful lot of time. So BDS, they are certainly looking to do the same here.
See how things set up then as well. The Wamai coming out, I think, was meant to be preventative more towards the Capital, but of course not being on side means that's less of a problem. And the committing extra resource, like you said, let's try and really have a war zone here inside a garage. That's what they're trying to set up for. Alem almost getting tagged out as Uno has a nice cheeky angle straight the way through. Does mean Alem's got to tuck in just a little bit tighter, slightly exposing himself to the small slat that sits in the catwalk and looks down towards the garage door, but that's exactly why you've got additional cover. Out come the Salmos. One finally does connect, and opening this wall up is going to help them almost get shot from the player that's playing back towards catwalk. And now with this being opened up by both of those, in fact, just one's gone off. I think they shot the extra one out, so it's not going to go off. Otherwise, that could have been a very different conversation to be having right now.
Big play from Shaiko there, even bigger as he pops up from behind the shield like a deadly jack in the box and puts Kanto into the grave. And he's keeping Alem safe as well. What a time for Shaiko to turn up and really go big. And that is a pivotal play inside of this game. Advantage to BDS here on match point, 6-4. They sit. This round will close out the victory against G2 and put them one step closer to taking the top spot here in EUL. It will apply pressure to Na'Vi. They won't be able to afford another loss. Kayak, he's trying to work on the garage door. Uno gets the kill onto Rafal, but Rafal trades that out. It was Alem, who goes down. Virtue gets the trade. This is going back and forward. 3 versus 3 now as G2, they look to aggress onto site. Shaiko is pushed away and dealt with for the time being. Kayak, he's looking to get in through the window. Just manages it for Ide, however, shuts down Citizen. Shaiko and Chiro, one apiece for the 3 remaining BDS players, and that is going to close out this game. Advantage BDS.
Oh, the game was like a boomerang. You never really knew if it was coming or going, but in the end, BDS are the ones who turn out to be the masters of the craft, and in this case, the masters of Clubhouse. That's twice now that G2 have took them here, at least in regular league play, and lost out to them in a best-of-1 situation. This time round, a little more convincingly than previous, even under the new meta. Really, really shining. Some good things to take away for G2, no doubt. But BDS, as you mentioned, now pull themselves into the lead. That's 5 points clear they go of Na'Vi. And you